Good morning, everybody. Welcome to MCR, aka Morning Coffee Review, aka MCR. It's Jason Hartley here with Mike LaChave, and we're back after a couple week hiatus. We took a break. Michael went on a little trip, which we're going to talk about today. I was feeling under the weather, and we figured out we could do a couple different things with Teams to make it easier for you all to join us and not have the register every single time thing. So bear with us. This is a new platform that we're trying today. We might be doing something different next week, but the goal is to have a reoccurring meeting so you don't have to register all the time. If you got free time, pop on in, come say hi, and we'll go from there. But it's good to see so many people in chat. We've missed you. And today we're going to talk about a few different things. But first, how's it going today, Michael?
It's going good. Excited for the new invites. So those will be, you can go to the website, and I believe it should be a repeating calendar invite. Jason came up with this great idea, and it was just, our goal was to make it easier for you all to join and get into these and have it on your calendar. And then also, right, these will still be uploaded to YouTube. So for those of you listening in from that past tense, these are still here and they will always be here on the YouTube channel after. And there was some comments when I was at live about getting a cadence. We're going to make sure these get a cadence of regular upload to the channel as well, if you're watching this on YouTube, from a specific day so that you're aware when those come out from that perspective. But you can always watch live too. But I do know, and having talking with a lot of people at the live event, you're not able to make it at this time. But super excited. We're putting some thought into what we're doing here on MCR and kind of the roadmap of where, not just where Bluebeam's going, but where we're going as a channel as well. So we may make some announcements, but hopefully everything gets kind of settled out. You can go to our channel to have it. And also you can find the link directly on our posts too. It's the same link and it will always be the same link, if I'm correct. It's the same link, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the same link, and there will be a calendar invite that will be coming out from our marketing team to put that little reservation on your calendar. So once you have that reservation, all you got to do is click into it. It'll take you straight to the Teams meeting, just like the link on the website will do. However, that Teams meeting link is kind of live. So if you click it on a Thursday, you might pop in by yourself. That's the part that we're going to try to figure out. But for the most part, we're just trying to make it easier. Try to keep it going so it's not a registration thing, and just in the sake of transparency, back in the day, when we were doing this, we had the little surveys and stuff that we would send out at the end, and that wasn't possible without that registration because we weren't capturing the emails of people who were attending. When we were doing it more of a marketing focus to make sure we have that information. So now we're not going to do that anymore. So we're trying to make it easier for you. You should see some stuff from Darian, who is in our marketing department, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, if you've signed up, you'll have the ability to come into here and join or add to calendar. So hopefully you're able to go through into here and just click this and add it to your calendar as well.
Yep. So there's the email that went out yesterday. If you didn't get that already, there are a couple little things. So one thing that we're going to talk about is Michael's magical road trip. And also there's a little spoiler, I suppose, if you look at that closely at the MCR part, there's something else going on there. So,
and I think I might have your email, Liz. I don't.
No. Yeah, we can. Yeah, if you're not signed up for the ATG emails, it's not spam. It's usually something valuable. So we can get you in there. But today's all about Bluebeam Live event recap. So Michael went to Texas, and I will just turn it over to you. Let's talk about your magical road trip.
Yep. Let me send that. Cool. So let's see what Bluebeam has on their website. So I was trying to think about organizing it last night. And then also maybe doing a PowerPoint, but I don't like PowerPoint, so I just negated that first off the rip. But basically, as you go through and look at Bluebeam's website, let's see if they have anything that's kind of noticeable about what they talked about. First and foremost, I think one of the most important things that we should probably touch on first is live. What is live? What are they doing? Because I know a lot of you all kind of asked about that before. And where is Bluebeam going with these live events?
Live.bluebeam.com. If you want the link.
Do they have it there?
Yeah. So live.bluebeam.com, because that's going to be what Michael's talking about. But there's still some events this year that some of you are close to.
Yeah. And I guess my question to you all, I don't want to foreshadow too much because I'm pretty bad at that stuff, but how much and how many people miss the XCon event? Are you one of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like conferences.
Jason loves conferences, just so we're all aware.
And there was the Augie World magazine, for anybody who remembers Augie. Augie World is still a thing. Autodesk used to be called Autodesk User Group International, but they still have an amazing magazine that's published digitally. And there was an article in there from Jason Pekovich, I believe, who talked about the importance of conferences. And he's talking about his experiences at, there was a BIM invitational that was held in Minnesota here a couple months ago. He's talking about MU, he's talking about, Midwest U, he's talking about AU and some of those other events and the importance of them. It was a really good article. Maybe I'll send that out if anybody else wants to check it out. But, conferences are back. I went to the Esri conference. You went to Bluebeam Live, which we're going to talk about. And then, you and I are both going to be at Autodesk University here next month. So without further ado, one of the questions, so I'm going to lead you into this a little bit.
Okay.
Boy, chat's going crazy. So David is signed up for New York in October. Would you recommend attending?
So I guess it's going to come down to they had 3 different tracks. So how they set up Bluebeam Live this year was 3 different tracks. Well, first and foremost, they had the keynote speakers, the Construction Brothers. They were awesome. And then they kind of went over the roadmap and introduction into GoCanvas acquisition in terms of what that will look like. Then they had 3 different tracks. They had a beginner track, which was training. They had an advanced track. The beginner track was actually taught by our dear friend, Scott. And then there was number 2, which was the advanced track. And then there was number 3, which was the executive track, which was talking about AI and actually a panel being able to talk with the product director directly about things and roadmaps and wish list items that you all kind of would like, kind of helping out their product development team and what you all need. So it's a great way to interact with Bluebeam themselves. All upper echelon C-suite people were there. So, and dev team were there to have conversations with and talk about things that you all would like. The only other place to do that currently is labs. So they were having a bunch of areas that you can sign up to get access to labs. And labs is the area for you all to pre-dev their tools before they're released as well. So if you're looking into that type of item, they've highly suggested folks join the labs. They also wanted people to join the communities too, so Bluebeam community as well. But yeah, there was 3 tracks. So my answer to your question would be, do you want to know the roadmap, which we're going to talk about today? But if you want to go through and get information directly from Bluebeam themselves and talk with their product development teams, that's definitely where you're going to be able to do that. And it's free. It was mind-blowing. I didn't think, maybe I just don't understand it from a perspective because I'm not a football person. I don't watch football, I guess, per se. Well, I guess the European football I watch, not the American football. The stadiums, right? So the stadium was pretty mind-blowing. They're having them in all stadiums. So apparently I didn't really understand the gravity of it until I was there. I don't think I've been to an actual, like, the Cardinals football game in forever. The stadium was beautiful. It was gorgeous. It was the Cowboy Stadium. The food was great too. So they had food as well. And then just the interaction with everyone as well from the community too. So, I mean, if you're looking for that kind of perspective and it's free and you have time, I highly recommend going.
What else? I see that they have a registration and then it says, the seating is limited. About how many people were attending the one that you went to?
They said 230-ish were there, I guess. I guess I just maybe just don't understand how many people that is. They had the max amount of people that they said that were joining were there. So
That's a pretty good turnout.
yeah. They also announced, and that's kind of where I was going earlier, Bluebeam Live next year. So spoiler alert, Bluebeam Live will be their new branding of XCon. So it won't be mini events. It will be small. It will be one big event out in, do I say the place, dare I? Well, yes, of course, because it was there. So why not? Washington, D.C. is where it will be.
And
No
about what
dates.
time of year would that be, roughly? This time of year? Maybe between now and Christmas? Between New
Yeah,
Year's
let's
and
let's
Christmas?
go with that. So,
Okay.
Jason tried to lead me down a dark path, which I'm not going to go through. So
Between now and Thanksgiving.
I'll let Jason go
Okay.
there. He always does. So we'll let Jason go there. But yeah, so DC will be next year, Washington D.C. For all of you that have been wanting to go to XCon, it won't be called XCon anymore. It'll be called Bluebeam Live, and it'll be one event. So it'll be in Washington, D.C. They announced that at the live event. And that was one of the most things that I wanted to inform all of you because I know you've all been asking us. So super excited about that and where it will be. I've never been to Washington, D.C., so that'll be
I have,
interesting as well.
yeah, it's been on my list. That'll be a really good time. Hopefully see a lot of you there as well. You get basically a year and a month to plan. How's that? Put that on your calendar and yeah, sounds like Bluebeam Live will be a bigger event next year. But in the meantime, there's still 5 of these Bluebeam Live events to happen
Yep.
this year. I believe one is today, right? If you scroll down. So is it when's Miami? Miami's today. So that's pretty cool. And then there's still LA, New York, London, and was it Sydney? No, London. Okay.
Sydney was the first,
Okay. The first one.
which I'm
So
surprised.
there's
I didn't see anyone talking about it on LinkedIn of like announcements and stuff. So I guess we're the first to make announcements of the event.
we just need to go down under and make more friends. I think
We
that's what it
do.
is.
I think we need to go to take take a trip out there, and I really want to see some like koala bears and kangaroos, but yeah,
They're meaner than you think. But
in their natural habitat.
yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, there's still a few more events. Some of you mentioned that you were going to go to New York, but yeah, go check them out, especially for free. I mean, it's incredible. I know we sent a couple people, so you weren't alone, Michael. Who went with you?
No, yes. So I was with our director of marketing, Whitney, and then I was also with one of the famous people, what's her nickname?
The Bluebeam Barbie, the Bluebeam
Yes.
Baddie.
Baddie, I think that's what it is. Yes. Jolie. So she's our customer success rep. She is amazing at everything Bluebeam. So for most of you that do partner with us and have your renewals and conversations around Bluebeam, she typically has those in terms of how your licenses work. So that kind of roadmap is going to also be updated. And I guess once we get into this, I'll talk about roadmaps and everything that's going to be launching into Bluebeam. And the excitement that I came out of that was top notch for sure. It just rejuvenated where the kind of roadmap is and their idea of and philosophy around Bluebeam 2. And I think it'll make all of you happy because I think it's right in road where us as users would want the solution to go. So yeah.
Good deal. So there's 3 different tracks. Which track did you take?
So I took the executive track. I wanted to learn about AI and innovation and product roadmap. One of the most important key factors was talking about from everything I learned from all of you. So for you all that were that have joined and asked me questions and said, I wish it did this, I spoke for your behalf when I was there. one key thing that I can remember, well, first and foremost, statuses. I asked for exporting of statuses. Second most key feature was updating the export ability into different formats and allowing you to export more data dynamically. So that was more of I don't think it was really an ask from you, Doug, but just that ability to have more dynamic data into an output versus static export washing data. So again, a lot of these events, majority of the times when I'm talking with the product development team, most of it comes from you all, right? I'm not using this every single day from a user standpoint. I'm getting all my information and asks from you all here at the community. So I'm more of your like liaison if you're not able to attend these events to ask these questions. And those are really where my pinpointed questions came from, was from all of you when they were asking questions to us about what they wish they had and what things they could do and they couldn't do. So, yeah.
And I think that, the live events and the launch of community, and if you haven't been to the community, it's it's growing pretty quick. And I'm seeing like Peter Noyes and some of the other dev members of Bluebeam joining, and they're asking the question, so if you have something like Doug, you just mentioned, you want to see a preview of your PDF export, go ahead and put that in the community and they're going to respond to you. And then you can go upvote different things to see, where things are at. And they've publicly said like, hey, yeah, we're working on that, or hey, that's not the plan, explain more. So it's been really interesting to spend a little bit of time on the community page to see, what they're going after, because obviously with this shift to subscription, it's going to allow faster updates, and we've been seeing that over the past year. But it's really exciting to see that, the amount of focus that they're putting on this. These live events could not have been cheap. The venues that they're putting them in, I mean,
That's
that
like one of
can't
the
be
main
cheap.
things I was thinking about. I
Yeah,
was like, this Dallas Cowboy Stadium, I don't
during
know
football
what.
season, you know. So like that's just crazy. And to do that for free is pretty amazing, especially when they've got headliners. It's got to be quite the investment. But what they're putting into the software is really exciting to see, and I like that they're listening to us, the users, and you, the users, on what you want to really make this a comprehensive platform.
Yeah, they want to make it work better for you all. So, and enhance it. So one enhancement that caught my attention was the auto align feature. So if you look at the product roadmap for that, it's not done. It just started in its invention. I think, and one of my main concerns was that it didn't really do what we would want it to do from an AI perspective, but it's going to morph into a true AI tool. Just so we're all aware, basically what will happen with that auto align, and right now it's auto aligning from a title block perspective. In the future and soon, I forget, I don't remember. I'm not going to quote timelines because it's been a couple of weeks and I don't want to like say when it's going to be released, but it will be released because they were talking about like Q4, Q1 of different release times of different things. So I'm not going to quote it because I don't want you all to come back and say, Michael, it's not out yet. It will be out though. Is there ability to align to different areas in the document? So basically it's going to learn where that matches and where things have been moved and deviated and auto align different areas within your document itself. So it will become a true AI tool for us to utilize within aligning our documents. So that's where we wanted it. And it's not there. And I was kind of confused with this auto align AI tool because like this isn't truly AI. Maybe they just pre-announced it from a automation standpoint, but in the future it will be. So that was super exciting to be able to just have the document align itself wherever areas moved is going to be huge. So that was something you can actually, I believe, if I remember correctly, you can be using it in labs if you asked for access to it. And then the other iteration too from labs is 3D. How do I want to say this? It's making a PDF format into a 3D visual PDF.
They showed that on that webinar that they did a little bit ago, where it's able to basically make a house of cards.
Yep.
So remember, if you've ever made a house of cards where you stack the different cards, but it's allowing you to stack your sheets in different planes. So it's not just a flat plane. You got your XYZ planes that are allowing you to make basically a building from your plan sheets.
And the thing is that that auto align feature is playing into the same development of that. So you don't have to stack the sheets. It knows where to stack the sheets for you, like sections, elevations from a floor plan. We'll go through and start creating. I think that's the best analogy, a house of cards for you. So it's still in development, of course. That's why it's in labs. And once it's finally ironed out to be a solid state of tool, it will be released to all of you. But I think the first and most important one is announcing kind of a roadmap of where Bluebeam has gone with cloud. I think that's a great starting point of introduction of where cloud is going and where the ethos of Bluebeam itself is going from that perspective of their desktop application. If you remember, Jason and I were always corrected to say Bluebeam, and now you can say review because I think, yeah,
we were always
review, yeah,
corrected to say Bluebeam review because they have multiple products. We had to be clear.
And
it says Bluebeam.
Yeah, so and I think that's perfect because where they were going was this new application of cloud, and it kind of pivoted from in they wanted to separate as review as a desktop app and cloud as a separate app that they were creating, right? Ever since some changes in leadership happened there and in direction of where they're going, they've realigned themselves to where we think they've shined, and I think all of you as well, right? Their main tool, which is their desktop application that we're all well aware of. So their desktop application is now being expanded upon. So they unlocked essentially the box of what review was. So review was completely segmented in their data of it just being on your desktop. And there was really no timeline or roadmap of like, I want it everywhere else, right? So as you start looking at what they're doing with sessions, so sessions is now in the cloud, and they've decommissioned projects, which was formerly known as their field application, right? So they no longer have a field application for tracking punch lists, items, RFIs, and submittals. You can do all of that with a form, a digital form perspective from their secondary solution that they acquired, which is GoCanvas. But they're also going to be building things into sessions that kind of give you some modulability directly within review itself. But again, so think about it this way. Projects is going away, but they're reintroducing projects as what it is from their desktop application. So they're staying true and tried and true, I think is the term. Is it? Okay.
Of course.
I love having Jason here to correct all of my terminology. So I believe that's it. Essentially what they're doing, not I believe, I meant the term, they are doing this. They're extending the desktop application to be accessed anywhere, essentially. So they've unlocked the box to Studio and the markups from Studio. So that being said, it is now going to be accessible directly through cloud. If you kind of look at the roadmap and where they're going, and you can start reading through the lines as well, is now that everything is in a cloud environment, they will start releasing Open API for the cloud environment. So that means access to markups anywhere through the cloud app, but also for all of you developers listening in, access to integration anywhere if you have the capabilities to develop it. That, I think, is the mind-blowing part because we all love Bluebeam review markups. The tool sets, measurements, the data that comes with it will all be accessible if you wanted to integrate into whatever you're using. That's
and
huge.
Again, that access anywhere, so being able to just see, hey, did anything get uploaded to projects, and potentially maybe being able to view some different things, would be pretty neat. David, they did release the ability to measure in sessions, but they're somewhat limited.
So yeah, product roadmap for sessions. So the end roadmap just so you're all aware, will be to have the same capabilities that you have in Sessions in the desktop application to the same capabilities you're going to have in the app on your phone and web-based app. So essentially, anything you can do in Sessions on your desktop application will be able to be done in the web-based application and your iOS and Android. So the questions, I think there was some about where things are going and some of the capabilities. It'll all be part of the app. So at least do you feel dimensioning? Yeah. So everything will be part of the application. So one of the main things that Bluebeam does differently than any other solution, and they said this because people have asked them and told them, Bluebeam makes a PDF, a PDF, a PDF. So essentially, it's not a rasterized, vectorized markup capability. It is making a PDF enriched markup on that document. There's other solutions out there, but it's actually masking and creating a layer on top of your PDF. So it's not true data directly compressed onto that PDF. It's segregated data, not actually being part of the PDF. So where Bluebeam's going and what they're doing is their markups are a PDF-driven format, vectorized onto that PDF from that perspective. So that's something that they were reiterating about over and over again. And their struggle was to make sure that even if they're making a markup on your mobile device, is it still a PDF-driven markup? And it is. Mm-hmm. It's not rasterized like some of the other devices, aka docs. Yeah.
Right. And you mentioned the GoCanvas. So did they explain more about how that's going to integrate? Because what GoCanvas does or did is pretty unique on its own. Did they talk more about how, and what do you see, or how do you see that being leveraged?
Yes. So we will have an announcement soon. I'm working with the Bluebeam team to get people on here from GoCanvas. So we will have a demo for you all very shortly. Nice. So if you want to see GoCanvas and SiteDocs, so they have two applications. So they acquired GoCanvas. When was it?
Nemetschek acquired them.
Sorry.
Right.
Gosh, so confusing.
So, right.
Did you know Nemetschek's yeah, sorry.
Or are they what? Did they know they're what?
I didn't know this. I didn't know who I guess I should have done my research. But Nemetschek was like a software company based out of Germany. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And they've got competitors to some other Autodesk and other products too. Like they've got a pretty big suite of things.
Yeah, their tool was, I forget what their tool was. Their main tool design is digital twin. Matt Lynn's here. So yeah. Wink, wink. They have a digital twin tool out of Germany, one of their main tools. And yeah, so Nemetschek acquired Bluebeam, and then Nemetschek also acquired GoCanvas. And GoCanvas, essentially what it looks like kind of from a perspective of what it can do is, and I'll explain it vaguely, we will again have people on here to show you what that solution will do shortly. Extremely soon. So essentially what GoCanvas is, as it's GoCanvas, because they have two applications, GoCanvas and then SiteDocs, GoCanvas does. Ironically enough, Bluebeam had the same thing where they had a cloud app and it was confusing, but it's not confusing. GoCanvas, SiteDocs. The company is Nemetschek now. There we go.
They make ArchiCAD. I forgot about that. ArchiCAD is one of the biggest competitors to Revit, and I forgot that they were the parent of that one as well. So it's an interesting sort of world.
Yeah, so if you think of this and the possibilities that can integrate, cloud is kind of like, you could almost say it's a canvas too. It's the canvas that hosts these things like studio, projects, and maybe some other things down the way. So basically, GoCanvas allows you to formulate forms to push data to a system that you have already built, or like Excel. So think of it as a blank piece of paper that you need to create some type of form So these are field tools. I guess you should reiterate that at the beginning. For field folks, these tools are built for those people in industry that are out in the field that are day in and day out working on some type of printed out paper and putting information there, taking it back to the work site, I guess from site to an office, and inputting data into some type of system like an ERP system or some type of database that has that data, manually putting that in. What this does is it allows you to access things on your phone, create a dashboard, work order, get metrics from it as well, essentially from any form type of fields that you want to create for your team out in the field. So it could be an inspection, it could be some type of I don't know. I'm gonna stop there because I'm not gonna get too deep into the weeds. But any type, they have templates pre-created, pre-curated from a form perspective, but you can also create. The whole ethos of it is, in my perspective, I like customizing. So there is the blank canvas, right? So you can then drag drop whatever type of form information that you're having people fill out from requests. You can sign in that as well. So you could take pictures, right? So if you're going through and doing an inspection, I mean, you could even use it as a punch list if you wanted to. If you're not marking up from like a plan set, right? Like if I wasn't placing it as a punch item in the direct location of where that was on the plan set, but I wanted to take a picture of a form specific punch list that has pictures of things that I'm out in the field with, you could do that same thing. But you can go through and do like an inspection, right? Siting up. That's what this is supposed to be utilized for from that perspective. And we'll have a demo and they're going to go through probably way more than what I did, but yeah.
So more pre-populated data and less opportunity to fat finger different things when you're in the field.
Yeah. Cause
you're pulling down and saying, kind of like your statuses, right? You could pull down different things and have that configured.
Well, I think the issue is not having intelligent data and not using your data correctly, right? So you're having people that are out in the field handwriting information or typing it in on their phone in notes or something in that realm. And it's data that is sparse and they need to do something with that data to increase productivity and create better analytics on information, right? So how do we use data to our advantage versus not leveraging what we all know is true and tried, which is data, right? So it's that ability to collectively have an area where all of your data is stored. You can even project it from a metric standpoint on there too. They have like cool dashboards. You can think of Power BI from that perspective of looking at analytics of your data. But you can also have that data pushed into something as well. So if you do have a separate system that you already have in place, but you're having that issue of grabbing the data in one collective area and then inputting it somewhere else, you could do that too. So I'll read exactly what they put because I took pictures of everything.
There you go. Because I think the emoji that Doug put in the chat sums up my thoughts exactly. Because like this could go a lot of different ways, and especially if we go back to what was announced, what was it, April, with the Nemetschek Autodesk sort of agreement there too.
Yeah, I mean, so a lot of contractors that have Procore leverage it because there's an integration into Procore. So essentially you have your field folks out there going through and leveraging the application, and then it's putting your data into Procore. So that's like a great example. But basically this says flexible field workflows, processes, job scheduling, dispatch, inspections, and quality control, work orders, estimates, invoicing, reputation management, advanced reporting, and analytics. I have an image. I'll post it in our LinkedIn channel that has like a snippet of what it looks like in terms of, because there's like a scheduled dashboard, a calendar. I'm looking at it right now. The app itself, you can do like what you're essentially assigning these forms to people and what they're doing on the job site for that day. And you can do that as well.
You said dispatch, and that's an interesting term because that way you can send I'm seeing this as, hey, I'm sending my inspector over to this particular area to go do a particular job. I think that's how it's going to be managed.
Yeah. Because I mean, this has a work order, and then you can see that you're signing that you went and did this at whatever date and time. It also has it works off of site location, so you can have it pull up your GPS location, but it's not working off GPS because that was something that someone asked, like, well, what if I don't have cell service? You can work offline, but also it's not mapping by your, I don't know, they said the term, whatever cellular data by location. It's working off of satellite location from that perspective. And most phones nowadays have that built in.
Interesting.
So you could be disconnected, have no mobile device service in that location, and you can still operate your form and still have it geolocate your location of where you're at from assigning that form to.
So David says, I wonder if you can use an arrow with it. You mean like some type of GPS receiver, one of those Bluetooth ones that are, yeah.
But you don't need to,
onto something
because it's satellite oriented.
Right, but these little GPS receivers, there's a bunch of people that make them. Bad Elf is one of them. I saw some really interesting ones at the Esri conference as well, where these are just smaller devices that you Bluetooth to that allow that positioning to be much tighter. Because your phone right now will be within 1 to 5 feet for the most part, but with these other devices, you can get between 1 and 5 inches. So if we are actually using these on site to do our punch list saying, hey, there's a crack in the concrete or there's something that's going on here, it's getting pretty close to survey grade. That's a fine term right there, my friend. Getting closer to like, hey, it's not just in this room, but it's actually in this spot where you can be.
But I think we're still
to react to it.
Yeah, but I think we're still looking at it from like that as a PDF perspective when we're placing it directly in that location. This is more of like, I'm in the field. I just need to know that I'm at the site, and where that location is at the site. You're going to take a photo and note it in the form. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So that's Office and the field. The next one is SiteDocs, which is for safety. So for those folks that have an issue with going through and having PDF resources from their work training manuals and making sure they're compliant before they go to the job sites, they have that now with SiteDocs. This is something that people have been using. Even with GoCanvas, people have been using it. One of their great stories was Honeywell and doing fire inspection for their sprinkler system. So basically, yeah, again, that's they were using GoCanvas from that perspective. I'm not going to tell the other case studies because they're probably going to tell us when they're on here as well. And if you're going to Bluebeam Live, they tell you them too. But yeah, so the other one is SiteDocs, and this is for customizing safety workflows, PDF resource library, work training and certification, contractor management, real-time monitoring, visibility, advanced reporting and analytics. So this is that ability when you're going out to a job site and you have to be compliant to a specific area. You can fill out this form before you're going to the site for any site hazards. You can then have that due date to the end users that are going through and using it before you're out in the field on your phone, right? So you're not going and looking at some of the hazards and safety requirements that you have for the specific job site. It's all digitalized directly in your phone, and any resource from that perspective that you need to be aware of is in one location. So you're not having to reach out to somebody wondering what the job site information is specifically from that safety perspective. It's all in one area, directly in one application. So you're essentially subconsultants and subcontractors, not consultants, have access to it. That's the main key thing, is transparency of data to making sure your job site is safe.
Didn't we have a safety person on here at one time? Was that Matt? I thought we had somebody who was in the life safety part of the industry, and that would be pretty interesting. Yeah, I remembered it. Yay, Matt. That would be pretty interesting to have that tied in, right? Because again, that transparency of data and that instant access anywhere. seems pretty big. So once this gets launched, Matt, we'll have to have a conversation about how you could potentially leverage this.
And it's the thing about it, and they just kept saying this, is everyone has their phone, right? Nowadays, everyone has some type of smartphone. I think we're finally at that cusp. And it's just easy to use from that perspective because once you're going to the job site, you can look at your phone. You have the information that you need specifically from a job safety perspective, from a site safety perspective, directly on your phone and mobile device. And any questions you have is directly in that app, right? Because all of that data and information is in one location and stored for your site folks. So SiteDocs is the other one. And the first one we talked about was GoCanvas.
Very cool. You don't want the Bluebeam app on your Pixel Watch. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be a bit much.
So those are those two applications. We can also go back to roadmap of Bluebeam. So unless you have any questions about those, we're going to have somebody on very soon for us to get demoed, you all to have a demo and questions, because you may have more questions than I'm going to be able to answer right now, because I'm still learning with all of you what this solution will look like. And then once we get licenses, we can go through and start showing you too. So.
Exactly. It's going to be an exciting few months here on MCR as we start, incorporating the new connections, not just with GoCanvas, but what's happening with Bluebeam Cloud, and then, more things that are going to be happening here at ATG that we're going to be able to incorporate here as well. It's going to be an exciting time, sort of foreshadowing a little bit.
So product roadmap, what are some other things? I think we've all been asking for this for a while, and because what will happen is Bluebeam Cloud's going to morph into being able to access your application anywhere, right? But what about your custom tool sets? So the new way of your tool sets will be tied to you can still export them as .btx file types, but basically it'll be tied to your user as well. So essentially, you'll have the ability to have your tool sets pushed to your user, and you can push and pull them into the cloud app whenever and whatever ones you want. So that's been stagnant in the data because you were only able to launch it once, and then you had to manually add it. In the future, it will be in the near future. Again, I'm not going to quote. They were saying like a lot of the stuff that they were announcing was Q3, 4, and 1 of next year. But basically, that will be launched as well directly into that your Bluebeam ID. Essentially, it'll be tied to. Then also, because everyone's asked this before, we've all had a weird time of sharing our tool sets from a server location. Now you can push your custom tool sets to other Bluebeam IDs.
What?
Yes.
That'd be cool. So you'd have like a list of like different IDs, and it would just, oh man, that would be amazing, especially for those who are already managing their users through a spreadsheet or something like that. You already have that list. That's a neat trick.
Yep.
I'm excited to see how that turns out.
So that'll be launched. And I don't know what queue again, because this is too early right now. So I'm sorry. I'm getting back in the swing of things. I'll probably remember at some point. That's how my mind works. And I'll be like, oh, I'll write it down. But it'll be soon. So basically, a lot of these things that they were talking about from product roadmap will be soon. Into the near future. It won't be the end of next year. I'll just put it that way. How about that? But yeah, you'll be able to launch that directly into your other users and share that way too. Again, if you wanted to, you can manually share them directly from the application as well. One of the big keynotes too that'll be coming out really soon, and this was this year, and I think Jason will love this. Not so much myself, because I still use Revit with a white background. Is the ability to change your background color in Bluebeam.
To do like the paper look, like you can get in.
You could do a blue background. Oh. Yeah. So you could do black. You'll be able to do, and it'll change your line color to white, right? You can do blue, so it was like it looked kind of like a PD. You can even do orange if you want to. It's it's Halloween or something. We'll have it for our showdown and stuff when we have some more stuff. You gross orange, yeah. But yeah, so you'll be able to change those too.
Yeah, but I can see some folks really liking that, not just for contrast, but, a lot more firms are kicking out color PDFs.
Yeah,
So
so
that could be good for not just making it visually equitable for those who have color blindness issues, but also, just getting it all dialed in the way you like. Hopefully not too crazy with the customizations, because yeah, if you are pushing out different things via Bluebeam ID, you could overwrite, but that's a whole other story.
yeah, and it'll just be those. So it's saving your eyes. People have have always done that, and they can go through and make sure that that's better. So another thing is going to be better searching for content in your studio projects. So again, big ethos of Bluebeam is they're putting more development on their tried and true system and launching it anywhere access. So they are going to have an AI tool that's built and being released so that you can search for project data. So we all use Studio Projects, and if we don't, you should start using it now, because what you'll be able to do is search for files that are hosted in there. But hold on, that's not it. There'll be AI built into it that's analyzing your data, so you can search for things in those projects that are driven inside the file type itself. So if you're looking for a specific detail in a PDF, it will actually bring that PDF up in a search bar. So all of your studio projects will have the ability to search for data in those studio projects and anything in those files as well.
That would be pretty crazy.
Yep.
So that brings us to the question. I'm not going to name this person just in case they get the evil eye, but are they trying to compete with ACC and SharePoint and Newforma with this, you think? Or you think overall they're still trying to work together for the greater good?
So my thought process is no longer segmenting data and having it siloed. So your information will be accessible where it is, kind of building on that ethos of opening up the Pandora's box of Bluebeam and access if you wanted to, and you're using ACC, that type of API access. So, I should just start looking at my pictures. So Active Directory sync happens, well, we've already had that, June, end of year 2024, multi-region support, offline licensing. Okay, well, hold on. Oh yeah, you'll have offline licensing. People have been asking for that, I guess. So connected drawings was what those were called for your PDFs themselves. So people that were asking for that too. And offline synchronizing. And they're also, for all of you SSO folks, hitting on some of those topics too from single sign-on and that ability with Prime. So that will be allowing you to have access to SSO soon. And then also the ability to have SSO and licensing issues from a management perspective for, I forgot. We'll come back to that. Man. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. Managing for SSO from, no, it was the VDI issue with signing on. So the VDI going through and having multi-users was a big issue, and they're making sure that hurdle is solved as well. So I think that was launched pretty recent to have that ability for different systems, and they're going to do another iteration of that too for, I forgot which one it was, but yeah.
Yeah, I know that the VDI stuff still comes up, and a lot of firms are still adopting it. So it does make it challenging.
And there we go. So it came back. as always, as I start thinking about it. So basically, what some people were having is they actually delete the desktop application, and it was pulling a license key. So essentially, they have a VDI solution that actually deletes the desktop application and spins up a new one. So essentially, deletes their desktop, creates a new one every time that they start up a computer and end the day. And it was pulling a license key. It no longer does that. So now you can have that from that type of system. If you do have a VDI system that essentially breaks down the computer and rebuilds it the next day, and it was pulling a license key every time for that, right? And it no longer does that. So you do have the ability to, if you have that type of system and you're waiting to get from review 20 to 21, because of that, it now doesn't do that. So
Interesting.
what else? Any questions about what I've talked about so far? There's probably, everyone's probably always asking, like, when are these things happening? I know.
Yeah, you covered quite a bit, right? So not just the event that you went to in Dallas when it came to, having 200 plus professionals all join Bluebeam Live, but you got to interact with the GoCanvas people and see where they're doing. You got to talk about AI and where that's going with Bluebeam and some of these other associated programs. But then we also talked about the future of live events for Bluebeam and potentially getting to see a bunch of people again in DC next year. David's asking if there's anybody else joining in the New York one at the Giant Stadium. So there's been quite a bit of announcements out of you, Michael. I'm glad this event you were able to attend and bring back all this information to share with everybody. It'll be pretty interesting to see.
Yeah, I was just checking my photos to make sure. Yeah. Super excited that I was able to go and learn more about where the roadmap is going and fill you all in. And again, right, I think the key thing that I want to just keep reiterating is the ability to transfer your knowledge here listening in and your questions listening in to their product development team. So always ask if you have some wish list items, let us know, because that ability to go through and talk with those C-suite leaders and innovation pushing forward is what we're here to do, right? Jason and I are your assistants to help push things that you request to some of these hot button items that we want and really would like to see and review too. So
yeah, and you all have the ability to join community.bluebeam.com as well and be that part of that forum. But certainly, Michael and I have a little bit of a leg up as platinum partners with ATG being a platinum partner with Bluebeam. We have somewhat of a red phone where we can communicate with them and get some of this insight, and you'll be able to benefit from that here in the next coming weeks as we invite them to join us back on MCR to have some conversations and just general chit chat about what's happening in the industry, because yeah, it's an interesting time. Every platform, whether it be Nemetschek, Autodesk, Bluebeam, Esri, they've got their innovation wheels really turning. And it's really starting to be interesting to see. It's almost like a new space race of who can fill this void that we've felt in the design construction handoff, and then now coming back after construction into the digital twin world, where we're seeing more and more adoption of that and more interest in the digital twin world to see how all this is going to tie in. So, buckle up, Buttercup. We're going for a ride over the next couple of years, and Michael and I will still be here turning it out every Tuesday morning to talk about it.
Yeah, I think it rejuvenated Jason and myself, definitely, that there is a lot of product roadmap quickly happening, because again, these are all happening relatively soon, and our ability to talk about it, right? And the ability to push the envelope, Jason and I have decided to push that envelope even further. So do you want to say anything?
Just, we're pretty good at asking for forgiveness, not permission, but so far so good. And, we'll take that risk to share it all with you, because it affects, we're just two idiots talking about Bluebeam every now and then. That's not what we do for our day job. Over the past 3.5 years that Michael and I have been doing this, both of us have changed roles. We've done different things for the company, but we're still doing this because all of you are on the front lines. I hate to use that term, but you guys are all using this stuff day to day and incorporating it in your firm. So the impact of what you do is pretty big. And Michael and I are here to help assist you on that little journey, so we can have some fun along the way.
Exactly. And also where we're going. Do you want to say anything on that?
And I think we foreshadowed a little bit, and I know we foreshadowed a little bit before, and certainly, David, we got to mention that as well. But the tie-in, Bluebeam is not the only tool that you use every day. There are other tools that are related or similar, and in fact, sometimes competing. And as a matter of fact, sometimes ATG is a partner of those other companies as well, and we'll be able to do more comparisons. Hey, is this the right tool for the job? That's sort of what the overall theme of what we've been talking about since we started this thing. So if we have an opportunity to talk about ACC and compare it again, we're going to do that. If there's an opportunity for someone to come on and share Procore or something, we might be able to do that. We're here to enable folks to make those decisions, because there's a lot of data out there and it's not getting cheaper. And what's the right thing? But it's
I think at the end of the day, our goal is to help you all learn more about what's out there. That's Jason and I's goal, is to make sure you're all informed, go over the pros and cons, and as we've always been, completely transparent with you all on what we think is a valid solution and what are the pros and what are the cons. And that's what we're excited to do, is just bridge that branch. I was going to say bridge that branch. Bridge
the gap.
There we go. Bridge that gap, right? So we're going to keep pushing that and push the envelope forward to make sure all of you are informed on where these things are going, and keep our ear to the ground. So that's what we're here to do. We're probably going to learn a lot more at AU too on some other solutions. So we'll probably bring that up when we go to AU and do a talk back track on things that we learned there and what's out there. So
yeah, and on that note, AU is almost a month away. So if you are attending Autodesk University in San Diego, certainly drop us a line so we can put you on the list of folks to look out for. While we're there, come say hi and see Michael and I. Talking. We won't be talking about Bluebeam as much while we're there, but it's one of those things where be excited to see some of you, and it'd be a good time. Danny,
yes,
good deal. You'll be there. I'll put you on the list too. I don't know if we're going to do an ATG sort of party like we've done before, but we'll shenanigans are always afoot when we're around, so do what we can.
And we're glad to be back, David. We don't have any expecting breaks coming up, so that was figuring out invites. I was also gone, so that was kind of our first invite, kind of break that we've had for probably over the 3.5 years. So yeah,
and that first time we did the two-week break, and it was appreciated. I know I needed it to recover from the crud or whatever the heck I had, and Michael was traveling, and we needed some time to let our magical marketing folks put their big brains together and collaborate with them to figure out how we're going to bring this back so it's bringing value to everybody, and hopefully you see that, and hopefully that's why a lot of you keep coming back every week, and we certainly appreciate seeing a lot of familiar names. It really helps us stay motivated to do this. So that said, that brings us to the end of today. Gotta say, rest in peace to the great James Earl Jones. The world is a different place without him, for sure. Certainly want to thank him for all the entertainment he's brought into the world. But otherwise, we will see you next week, which will be September 17th. Same bat time, same bat channel, 8:30 Central. And we'll see you all then.
See you all then.
Hey there, thanks for tuning in. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe and check out some of the other content on our channel.